This is something different. This is a Wheeler Wilson No8. Don't very often get one of these to have a look at. It's quite unusual in the sewing machine world. And it's the oldest machine I've ever worked on. This is from 1869. So this cam here is the drive for the needle bar. That's this one here. That runs the needle bar up there. So the other cam, this big one in the middle here, so that is driving the take-up arm, which is that one you can see up there, dipping backwards and forwards. And then here, we've got this incredible eccentric drive, which has this little linkage, which causes the whole thing to speed up and then slow down again. So it goes slow there, and then whoosh, it speeds up there and then slows down again. And that's increasing and decreasing the speed of the hook. So this is a rotary hook, but it only turns a single revolution per needle stroke, whereas most more modern machines, they turn 2 revolutions per needle stroke. And there it is there. So you can see how it speeds up and slows down. Slow, fast, slow, fast. And there's the needle bar driving the needle. So very unusual. This is the case for the Wheeler Wilson. Now, these little bits here, these are the locks. There's 2 there and there's 2 here. And if you look at the box, there's 2 holes on one side of the box and 2 holes at the other. So the way it works, you put a little key in here. I don't actually have the key. So you put the key in there, and then when you turn it, it operates these cams, and those cams push out and pull in the little lock-in pins. What a complex and sophisticated mechanism. And to operate it, you drop on the lid, and then you have to put your key through the hole. And it's got this beautiful rope handle. I don't know if that is original. It kind of looks like it's got eyes for ropes, but it's quite beautiful. And they are actually screwed. There's a screw, the end of the rope has been, looks like it's been whipped. No, it hasn't. It's been sewn into leather, and then it's been screwed onto the box. So again, quite incredible. I have this theory that pretty much everything on sewing machines was already invented by 1900. And since then, things have just moved around and been changed a little bit. So here's a couple of things on this machine that I have seen before, but they're not so common. So if you look at the needle plate and these covers, and look at particularly the way the cover attaches. So this little cutout and this little notch here, same on that side, and that's how it kind of holds itself in as it slides together. So if you have a look at a Singer 111 or a FAF 145 or a 155 or a 156 or basically any of the flatbed industrial machines that have horizontal drop-in bobbins. This is the plate type cover that it has. These are the plates on the faff that I was talking about. You can see here it has the same mechanism, the slot with a little cut in it, and the straight needle plate. The tensioner on this machine. So this is the tensioner here, and it has a spring. It has a leaf spring, which is unusual. I haven't seen that on any other machine. But it doesn't squeeze two discs together. What it does is it applies pressure to this disc, and this disc, this is like two discs joined together, and you wrap the thread around it, and that is what provides the tension. The thread actually turns the tensioner as the thread is pulled by the machine, and that is exactly the same as I have on my Texima Patcher. This is the revolving tensioner on the Texima Patcher with this little kind of little pre-tensioner up here. Again, exactly the same as the Wheeler and Wilson No8. And a couple of the other kind of heavy duty machines have a very similar tensioner. And the shape, so this shape with the arm, where this needle arm is mounted here. The nearest thing I've seen to that is the Union Special industrial machines. They have a same, so that to drive this, if you're driving this from a motor, there is actually a belt pulley down here underneath there. And I've seen many industrials without a hand wheel but with a drive pulley down there, so they must have a similar setup, and the likes of the Union Specials, the hat making machines, and various different sort of types of Union Special industrial machine, they have this needle bar. These are a couple of the Union Special machines, and you can see the similarity with the needle bar and the mechanism. So the same, as I say, the same equipment and the same designs being used in different ways on different machines, but they were all around before the 1900, as far as I have been aware up to now anyway. That is the impression that I'm getting. Maybe you're no different, let me know, put some comments down below, and I'm happy to have a look. Wheeler and Wilson No8. Let's get it fired up. So, bobbin. We're going, I guess it's a peach, maybe a pink, not quite sure, but this is what we're going for the bobbin. So how are we going to wind it? So this was missing this pin, but I think this is where the bobbin spool pin goes. Drop the bobbin on there, but first we need to engage the bobbin winder. So if we have a look at the hand wheel, pop out the handle, and then there's this little lever. We need to pull that lever, and that allows us to slide the hand wheel out until it drops onto the second notch. Now, what we can do if you want, take the hand wheel off completely, but you can see the two notches there where it sits. So it sits in the outer one for bobbin winding. We now lift the bobbin winder, turn it so that it engages with that cog, and now when we turn the hand wheel, we get the bobbin winder and no needle movement. So there is your stop motion on a Wheeler Wilson. So bobbin goes on there. We need to, it's very much a manual bobbin, so we need to wrap it a couple of times to get it to grip. And then we can fit the bobbin onto that spindle, hold the thread, turn the handle, and we can wind the bobbin. Okay, there's our bobbin wound. Slip that off, put that away. Now this, we'll lift up, turn, it drops into its location. Pull the little lever, slide the hand wheel back in, and that's it now engaged. Fit in the bobbin. Take off the end plate. This is where the bobbin goes in here. And the bobbin sits in a bobbin case. This is the bobbin case. This is the bobbin. So we want to just have the thread coming off the bottom, and then the bobbin case goes over. What we then do, we've got the bobbin case open here. We drop it into there, hold it up, and then close this until it clicks. And that's it now contained. And we just check that the bobbin will flow freely. There you go. Now, if there's not enough tension, we can adjust that using this screw here. Loosen that screw, we can push this frame up closer to the bobbin, or move it away from the bobbin, and that will give us more or less tension, as it literally just squeezes the bobbin. So that is your bobbin loaded. You can either leave the thread down there, or if you want, you can pop it through the little slot and then bring the thread up to the top until we bring it up with the needle. So that is your bobbin wound. Top thread. We're gonna go this rich kind of mahogany brown, because it matches very nicely the mahogany, I think it's mahogany, of the case. So that's what we're going for. So how do we thread this incredible machine? Spool pin. Now we have pre-tensioner. And I have been doing a single circuit around that pre-tensioner. We then need to go 1.5 turns around the revolving tension discs. And we should end up in a situation where when we pull, it revolves. There, you see that? Okay, now we have the take-up arm. The take-up arm is very nicely split into two. So we just go over the top and then down this curve, and that brings the thread out the bottom. So we can then just pick it up and out we come. Mr. Wilson was an absolute genius making this machine. We then have a pigtail. We then have another thread tensioner here, thread guide here. And this is, again, we bring the thread over like that, and that clips it into there, and that's now in place. We then have another thread guide at the top of the needle. And again, we bring the thread into it, and that finds its way into position. And then we're ready to thread the needle. Oh, first time, look at that. Okay, and now we turn it, hold the end, turn the hand wheel, and we should bring up the bottom thread. And there she is. So we'll lift the foot and we'll scoop that thread. So there we are now ready to sew. So we'll try a couple of little seams and see how it does. No reverse, so we'll back tack to seal the ends in. Just Quite a chunky noise. But there you go, that is a nice straight stitch, I have to say. Oh, there's a little bit of a funny tension thing going on at the beginning, but the rest of it is absolutely fine. So we'll run a top stitch down there. Now, one of the issues I've found, which is happening at the minute, is sometimes the tensioner doesn't revolve. So I don't know if that is something to do with the thread. But it doesn't seem to have affected the tension, really. Yeah, there's a couple of little tension issues there. So I wonder if that is because this is not revolving. Okay, to get a little bit more friction on the tensioner, I've given it an extra wrap, so it now has 2.5 revolutions around the tension disc. So we'll see if that now does the job. Yeah, I can see it revolving now. Let's just check out tension. Oh yeah, tension's good. That looks like a much more consistent stitch. That is a pretty good stitch, top and bottom. That's lovely. So that is your Wheeler Wilson No8.